The roses were already dying when I opened the door. Petals scattered across the entryway like drops of blood, their edges curling brown. Wrong. All wrong. Winston always bought the freshest flowers, especially for my birthday. "Hello?" My voice echoed through our too-quiet house. No response, just the hum of the AC and my heartbeat growing louder in my ears. I dropped my keys, letting them clatter against the marble counter he'd insisted on during our renovation last year. The sound felt too sharp, too final. The kitchen should have smelled like the chocolate ganache cake he special ordered every year. Instead, there was nothing but the sickly sweet decay of those roses. "Winston," I called again, my heels clicking as I moved through our home. Each step felt heavier than the last. If this is some kind of surprise party, I'm really not in the mood. But I knew. Deep in my gut, I knew. The note sat propped against his favourite whiskey glass on his desk. His handwriting, usually so precise, looked rushed and uneven. "Reagan. I need time to think. Don't try to contact me. W?" My fingers trembled as I read it again. And again. The words didn't change, didn't suddenly rearrange themselves into something that made sense. 5 minutes ago, I'd been Reagan Kelly, successful gallery owner, wife of 15 years. Now I was... What? Reagan the abandoned? Reagan the fool? I sank into his leather chair, the material cold against my bare legs. 40. I was turning 40 today, and my husband had vanished. My phone buzzed. Oakley's face lit up the screen, probably calling with birthday wishes. I let it go to voicemail. How could I explain this when I didn't understand it myself? The roses caught my eye again. 3 dozen, perfectly arranged this morning before I left for work. He must have ordered them days ago, planning this whole time to... Wait. I stood so quickly the chair rolled back and hit the wall. Those roses. He'd ordered them in advance, knowing he wouldn't be here, knowing he was leaving. The bastard had orchestrated this entire day, down to the last wilting petal. My hands moved on autopilot, pulling open his desk drawers. Everything looked normal at first. Papers, pens, receipts. But in the bottom drawer, behind his tax files, I found it. A small black notebook I'd never seen before. The first page was blank, so was the second. On the third, a single line of text. Le Petit Palais, room 408 Arm. My stomach lurched. The boutique hotel where we'd spent our honeymoon, where he'd promised forever while Paris glittered below our balcony, where he'd given me that goddamn rose pendant I still wore around my neck. I ripped it off, chain snapping. The pendant bounced across his desk, landing face up. For 15 years, I'd thought the tiny engraving inside was a promise. Now I realized it had been a warning. Every rose has its thorns. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from an unknown number. "He's not alone. Thought you should know." I stared at those 5 words until they burned into my retinas. Of course he wasn't alone. Men like Winston never were. The signs had probably been there all along, little thorns I'd chosen to ignore because I was too busy being grateful he'd chosen me. The room spun slightly as another memory surfaced. Last month, when he'd insisted on handling our taxes himself for the first time in our marriage, the new password on his phone, the business trips that left his suits smelling of unfamiliar perfume. I'd been so stupid, so perfectly, willfully blind. My phone buzzed a 3rd time. Oakley again. "Reagan, call me. It's important. Important." Like finding out your husband had planned his disappearance down to the last detail. Like discovering your entire marriage might have been an elaborate lie. I looked at the roses one more time, really looked at them. They weren't random varieties like I'd first thought. They were black baccaras, the exact same type he'd given me on our first date. When he'd told me their dark red petals reminded him of passion, of desire, of everything he felt for me. Now they just looked like what they were, dying things carefully chosen to mock the death of my marriage. The phone buzzed in my hand. This time I answered. "Reagan." Oakley's voice was tight with worry. "There's something you need to know about Winston, about where he really is." I touched one of the wilting petals, watching it crumble beneath my fingers. "No, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. First, there's something I need to know about the last 15 years of my life. How long have you known? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Oakley sat across from me at our usual cafe, but nothing about this conversation felt usual. She wrapped her hands around her untouched latte. Reagan, How long? 3 weeks. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I saw them at Le Petit Palais. I was there for a client meeting and they didn't see me. The cafe's espresso machine hissed, making me jump. 3 weeks. While I'd been planning the gallery's new exhibition, while I'd been picking out Winston's birthday gift for next month, my best friend had been carrying this secret. You should have told me. The words tasted bitter, like the coffee going cold between us. I wanted to be sure. I hired someone to... You what? The couple at the next table glanced over. I lowered my voice. You had him followed? Oakley finally looked at me, her eyes fierce. Because I love you. Because I watched him do this exact same thing to his first wife. The room tilted sideways. What did you just say? She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then slid it across the table. A wedding announcement from 12 years ago stared back at me. Winston, younger but unmistakable, standing next to a woman I'd never seen. Monica Ramos, the caption said. The date was exactly 3 years before I met him. He told me he'd never been married. My voice sounded far away, like it belonged to someone else. He said he was waiting for the right person. There's more. Oakley's hand covered mine. The money from the gallery. What about it? Check your accounts. All of them. Now. My hands shook as I pulled up my banking app. The gallery's business account loaded first. Where there should have been 6 figures, a single number glared back at me. 842s. 19 town. No. I checked the savings account. Empty. The investment portfolio we'd built together. Gone. This is impossible. I just paid vendors last week. He's been siphoning money for months. Small amounts at first, then larger transfers once he had access to everything. Oakley squeezed my hand. The detective found a pattern. He's done this before, Reagan. The marriage, the business partnership, the calculated exit. It's his signature. The cafe's warmth turned suffocating. All those nights he'd spent reviewing the books. The new accounting software he'd insisted on installing. The way he'd convinced me to combine our personal and business accounts for tax purposes. My phone buzzed. Another text from the unknown number. Check the storage unit on 7th Street. Unit 23B. Code is 0408. Hurry. I showed Oakley the message. It's from his first wife, she said quietly. Monica's been trying to warn you. The hotel room number. My chest tightened. 408. It wasn't about our honeymoon at all. It's where he takes them all. Oakley's voice hardened. Where he's probably taking his next target right now. I stood so abruptly my chair scraped against the floor. Take me to the storage unit. Reagan, wait. The detective said we should... No more waiting. I grabbed my coat. No more detective, no more secrets. I want to see for myself. The drive to 7th Street passed in a blur. Each turn brought a new memory, recoloured by truth. The late nights at work, the mysterious calls he'd taken in the garden, the way he'd slowly isolated me from my family, especially my sister Raylin, who'd never trusted him. The storage facility loomed ahead, all steel and concrete. Unit 23B was at the back, away from the security cameras. My fingers trembled as I punched in 0408. The door rolled up with a metallic groan. Oh my God. Oakley's whisper echoed in the small space. Files lined the walls, dozens of boxes labelled with women's names, dates, businesses. In the centre, a desk held what looked like blank passports and driver's licenses. A printer that could have produced them sat in the corner. I found my name on a box near the top. Inside, detailed notes about my gallery, my finances, my habits, a timeline of my entire life, annotated with opportunities for exploitation. At the bottom, a single photo of me sleeping, dated the night before our wedding. Reagan! Oakley's voice cracked. Look at this. She held up a leather portfolio. Inside, a contract for the gallery's sale, dated tomorrow. My forged signature was already in place. My phone buzzed one final time. Now you know. He's meeting his next target tonight. Le Petit Palais, 8 p.m., room 408. What are you going to do about it? I looked at the evidence of his betrayals surrounding us, at 15 years of calculated deception. Oakley, I said, surprising myself with how calm I felt. I need you to help me plan something. What? I picked up the contract with my forged signature. A special exhibition, and Winston's going to be the main attraction. The cafe was different at night. Shadows pooled in corners where morning light usually danced, and the regular baristas had been replaced by a single tired-looking student, perfect for what I needed to discuss. You understand what you're suggesting is illegal. Grayson's voice was low, measured. He stirred his black coffee without looking up. As your lawyer, I should advise against it. As my lawyer, you should also tell me if my husband's actions were legal. I pushed Monica's file across the table, or if what he did to her was. He opened the file, scanning quickly. In the dim light, his usual polished appearance seemed softer, more human. I'd hired him 3 years ago to handle the gallery's contracts. Now I wondered if Winston had suggested him for a reason. This is... He paused, frowning. How did you get these documents? Does it matter? It might. He closed the file. Reagan, there are proper channels, which he'll slip through just like last time. My voice cracked. Please, you've seen how he operates. By the time the police build a case, he'll be gone, with everything I've worked for. Grayson leaned back, studying me. The silence stretched until I thought I'd scream. There might be a way, he said finally. But you'll need help. Someone who knows the art world's darker side. I own a gallery. I know plenty about... No, he cut me off. You know the legitimate side. I'm talking about the other side. The side that makes certain paintings disappear and reappear with new provenances. The side that can make or break reputations overnight. My stomach clenched. How do you know about that? A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Because before I was a lawyer, I worked in art recovery, finding stolen pieces, exposing forgeries, sometimes creating them. The implications hit me like a physical blow. You're suggesting we... Nothing illegal, he held up a hand. Just creative application of existing laws. But first, I need to know something. He leaned forward, eyes intent. How far are you willing to go? Before I could answer, my phone lit up. Another text from Monica. He's moving faster than usual. Meeting changed to tomorrow night. Same place. My hands started shaking. Tomorrow. One day to stop him from destroying another woman's life. Whatever it takes, I said, and meant it. Grayson nodded once. Then we need to talk to your employee, Zayn. Zayn? He's just an assistant. Who has access to your gallery's documentation system? And who, I happen to know, has certain skills he keeps off his resume. I thought of Zayn, with his eager smile and clumsy attempts to organize the filing system. You're saying he's a very talented forger who's been trying to go straight, which makes him perfect for what we need. My phone buzzed again. A photo this time showing Winston entering Le Petit Palais with a redhead I didn't recognize. She looked young, hopeful, just like I'd been. Okay, I said. Tell me the plan. Grayson outlined it quickly, efficiently. With each detail, I felt my gallery owner persona, careful, professional, rule-following Reagan, cracking like an old varnish. One more thing. He pulled out his own phone. You'll need to convince her to help. A familiar face filled the screen. My sister, Ray Lynn. No. I stood up so fast my chair wobbled. She can't know about any of this. We haven't spoken in 2 years, since Winston convinced you she was trying to sabotage your marriage. Grayson's voice was gentle but firm. She works for the hotel chain that owns Le Petit Palais. We need her access. She'll never help me. The words tasted like ash. Not after what I said to her. You'd be surprised. He showed me another message. She's the one who hired me to watch Winston in the first place. The world tilted again. All this time while I'd been shutting her out, she'd been trying to protect me. I can't. My voice broke. I can't face her. Then he wins. Grayson stood, gathering his files. And somewhere in Paris, another woman loses everything she's worked for, just like Monica, just like you. I touched the space where my rose pendant used to hang, thought of all the thorns Winston had planted in my life, the way he'd made me doubt everyone who truly cared about me. Give me her number, I said. Grayson smiled. Already sent it, along with an address where you can meet safely. He headed for the door, then paused. Reagan? Remember, the best revenge isn't just about making him pay. It's about reclaiming what he stole from you. I looked down at my phone, at Raylin's number glowing on the screen. Starting with family, I whispered, and pressed dial. I'm so sorry, Reagan. I swear I didn't mean to. Zane's face was pale beneath his usual warm complexion. The gallery's back office felt too small for this conversation. Just tell me exactly what happened. I gripped the edge of my desk, knuckles white. Monica called about the documentation like you said, but then she started asking questions about Winston's schedule, the gallery's finances. He swallowed hard. I thought she was helping, so I told her about the meeting tonight. My stomach dropped. What meeting? With the potential buyer, the one who's interested in the Monet. Zane's voice got smaller. The one Winston arranged last week, the Monet. Our most valuable piece worth nearly 7 figures. The sale that could save or sink the gallery. Did you tell her the price? He nodded miserably. Damn it. I grabbed my phone, dialing Grayson, straight to voicemail. Damn it, damn it, damn it. I can call her back, tell her I was wrong. No. I held up a hand. Don't contact her again. Don't tell anyone else about the sale. In fact, don't even come in tomorrow. Are you firing me? The hurt in his voice made me pause. No, I'm protecting you. The less you know about what happens next, the better. My phone buzzed. Monica again. Smart move, setting up the Monet sale, but Winston's already 3 steps ahead. Check your email. Heart pounding, I opened my inbox. There it was, a contract for the Monet's sale, dated yesterday with my forged signature at the bottom. The buyer, a shell company I'd never heard of. He's stealing it, I whispered. He's going to sell it twice and disappear with both payments. What? Zane moved closer, reading over my shoulder. But that's impossible. The documentation system... The one he insisted we upgrade last month, I laughed bitterly. The one you've been entering all our inventory into. Understanding dawned on his face. Oh, God, I gave him everything he needed, didn't I? Before I could answer, the gallery's front door chimed. Footsteps echoed through the empty space. Reagan? A familiar voice called out. Are you here? Raylin. Our first meeting in 2 years, and it had to be now. Stay here, I told Zane. Don't say anything about what just happened. I found my sister standing by the Monet, studying it with the same intensity she used to direct at my life choices. She looked exactly as I remembered, except for a new hardness around her eyes. Nice painting, she said without turning around. Shame it's about to disappear. My breath caught. How did you... The same way I knew about Monica. Now she faced me. The same way I've known about everything he's done, because I never stopped watching out for you. Even when you shut me out. The weight of those 2 years crashed over me. All the ignored calls, the returned Christmas presents, the way I'd believed Winston when he said she was jealous of our success. Ray, Save it. She pulled out her phone. We don't have time. Winston's meeting his buyer in 3 hours at Le Petit Palais. The real buyer, not the fake one he's setting up. If we move fast, we can... Wait. Something clicked. How do you know about the real buyer? A flash of guilt crossed her face. Because, said a voice behind me, she's been working with me the whole time. I turned. Monica Ramos stood in the gallery doorway as elegant in person as in her wedding photo. Behind her, Zane looked like he wanted to disappear into the wall. I'm sorry, he stammered. She said she had clearance. It's fine. Monica's smile was sharp as broken glass. Reagan and I have a lot to discuss, starting with how her husband is about to steal both our lives' work. The room spun slightly. Too many betrayals, too many layers of deception. I couldn't tell who was lying anymore, who was really on my side. Why didn't you just tell me? I asked Raylan. Why all the secret messages and warnings? Would you have believed me? Her voice was soft. After everything he made you think about me? She was right. I wouldn't have. Just like I hadn't believed her 2 years ago when she'd tried to show me discrepancies in the gallery's accounts. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Grayson. Whatever they're telling you, don't trust it. Meet me now. I know what Winston's really planning. I looked at the women surrounding me, my sister, my husband's ex-wife, each claiming to want to help, each possibly working their own angle. The Monet watched silently from the wall, worth a fortune and hours away from vanishing, just like everything else in my life. Okay, I said, making my choice. Let's talk. The Paris rain felt different from home, sharper somehow, like tiny accusations against my skin. I huddled deeper into my coat, watching Le Petit Palais through the cafe window across the street. He'll be here in 20 minutes. Monica checked her phone. Room 408 is booked under his usual alias. James Porter, Raylan added. He's used it 3 times this month. I sipped my cold coffee, wondering when my husband's fake name had become more familiar to my sister than to me. And the buyer? Already inside. Monica's lips curved. Waiting to purchase a painting that technically belongs to me. That made me look up. What? The Monet. She stirred her espresso. It was part of my settlement, the settlement he erased when he emptied our accounts and disappeared. The pieces clicked together. You've been tracking it. For 3 years. Watching it move through galleries, waiting for him to try this exact scheme again. Her eyes met mine. I'm sorry it had to be your gallery. No, you're not. Ray, Monica warned, but my sister shook her head. She needs to hear this. Raylan leaned forward. We used your gallery, Reagan. Used you. Because we knew he'd try to destroy you like he destroyed Monica. We just didn't expect. She trailed off. Didn't expect what? To care, Monica finished quietly. To see myself in you, to want more than just my painting back. My phone buzzed. Grayson again. Don't trust them. Meeting compromised. Get out now. He's been texting you, hasn't he? Monica nodded at my phone. Grayson, telling you not to trust us. I set the phone down carefully. How did you know that? Because he's working with Winston. Raylan pulled out a tablet showing me surveillance photos. Grayson and Winston meeting in secret. Planning. Has been from the start. The coffee threatened to come back up. No, he's been helping me. He told me about the art recovery, about his past in art recovery. Monica's laugh was bitter. That's how he and Winston met. They've been running this con together for years. Find a woman with valuable assets, marry her, isolate her, then steal everything while Grayson handles the legal cover-up. I thought of his careful questions, the way he'd pushed me towards certain decisions, the creative application of laws he'd suggested. Why are you telling me this now? Because in 10 minutes, Winston's walking into that hotel expecting everything to go according to plan. Raylan touched my hand, but for once we're ahead of him. If you trust us. Trust. Such a simple word for such an impossible thing. What exactly are you proposing? Monica opened her bag, removed a folder. Inside was a document that made my eyes widen. This is insane, I whispered. If we're caught, we won't be, she smiled, because this time we have something he never expected. What's that? You. Raylan squeezed my hand, the one person he thought he'd broken completely. A black car pulled up to the hotel. Winston stepped out, immaculate in his favorite charcoal suit, the one I'd bought him for our anniversary. Time to choose, Reagan, Monica stood. Are you ready to take back what's yours? I watched my husband disappear into the hotel. Thought of the roses he'd left to die, the years he'd stolen, the sister he'd driven away. Thought of other women like Monica, like me, waiting to be destroyed. My phone buzzed one last time. Grayson, final warning. Don't do this. I deleted his message, deleted his number. The Monet's not the only thing he stole from you, I told Monica, and my gallery's not the only thing he took from me. No, she agreed softly. It's not. I stood, letting the old Reagan, the trusting, grateful wife, fall away like dead rose petals. Then let's take it all back. Raylan hugged me suddenly, fiercely. I've missed you so much. I hugged her back, breathing in the familiar scent of her perfume. I'm sorry. For everything. I know. She pulled away, wiping her eyes. Now let's go make him sorry too. We crossed the rain-slicked street toward Le Petit Palais. Toward room 408, where Winston waited with his practiced lies and perfect timing. But this time, he'd be the one surprised. This time, he'd learn what happened when the women he'd tried to destroy decided to work together. This time, the thorns would be pointed at him. Room 407 felt like a cage. I paced the narrow space between bed and window, listening to voices through the wall. Winston's low murmur, a woman's laugh, the clink of glasses. Stop fidgeting. Monica sat perfectly still in the armchair, poised as a snake about to strike. He'll drag this out, make her feel special. It's his pattern. I know his patterns. The words came out sharper than intended. I lived them for 15 years. Then you know we wait. She checked her watch. Raylan will signal when the buyer arrives. Right on cue, my phone lit up. He's here. 6th floor suite. Ready? I touched the hotel keycard in my pocket. The real one, not the copy Winston thought was safely hidden in his briefcase. Amazing what a sister in hotel management could access. Another laugh filtered through the wall. Younger than the first woman. A third person had joined them. 2 targets, Monica whispered. He's getting ambitious. My stomach churned. We have to. Wait. She held up a hand. Listen. Winston's voice grew clearer as he approached the shared wall. Just need to make a call about the transfer. Why don't you ladies order champagne? Put it on my room account. Footsteps. A door opening and closing. Monica stood. Now. We slipped into the hallway. Winston stood at the elevator, phone to his ear. The sight of him, so casual, so normal, made my hands shake. Yes, everything's proceeding as planned, he said, not noticing us. Both pieces will be moved tonight. No, Grayson, she doesn't suspect. He turned, saw us. The phone dropped. Reagan! His face shifted through expressions like flipping channels. Surprise, confusion, calculation. Settled on concern. Darling, what are you doing here? Don't. My voice sounded strange in my ears. Just don't. He took a step forward. Whatever you've heard, whatever you think you know. Room 408, Monica cut in. Still your favourite spot for destroying lives. Winston's mask slipped for just a moment. Fear flickered in his eyes. Monica, he recovered quickly, smile returning. I should have known you'd find her eventually. Been filling my wife's head with stories, have you? Not stories. I pulled out my phone, played the recording Raylan had made. His voice filled the hallway. Once the Monet sells, we'll transfer everything offshore. Reagan's gallery will take the fall for the fraud, just like we did with Monica's collection. The recording continued, laying out every detail of his plan. His face went rigid. Where did you get that? You're not the only one who knows how to plan ahead. I moved closer. Those women in there? They're not your marks anymore, they're witnesses. He laughed, but it sounded hollow. Witnesses to what? A business meeting. I have documentation for everything. Grayson made sure. Grayson's been arrested. Monica's smile was vicious. 10 minutes ago, along with your fence in Geneva. Turns out my old art recovery contacts still owed me favours. The elevator dinged. Raylan stepped out with 2 police officers. No. Winston's composure cracked. No, you don't understand. Reagan, please. Everything I did for us. For us? Something broke inside me. The roses on my birthday. Was that for us? Making me doubt my sister? Using my gallery to launder your cons? He reached for me. I can explain. Mr. Kelly, one officer stepped forward. We need you to come with us. Wait. I held up a hand. One more thing. I moved close enough to smell his cologne, the same scent that used to make me feel safe. The Monet, I whispered. It's a fake. Has been since Monica owned it. You've spent 3 years chasing worthless canvas. His face contorted. You're lying. No. I stepped back. I'm just better at it than you thought. The officers moved in. As they led him away, I heard Monica murmur, The original's been in a private collection for decades. You really should have checked the provenance more carefully. I watched until the elevator closed on Winston's face. My knees started to buckle. Hey, Raylan caught me. I've got you, it's over. But it wasn't. Not yet. My phone buzzed one final time. A message from Zane. Files recovered from Grayson's computer. You need to see this. There are more women, more galleries, and something about Winston's real identity. I looked at Monica, who was already reading over my shoulder. Ready for phase 2? She asked. I thought of the women in room 408 still waiting for their lives to be destroyed. Yes, I said. Let's finish this. The gallery lights cast long shadows across the Monet as I adjusted it one final time. Perfect. Every brushstroke exactly where it should be, telling its own story of deception. They're here. Raylan's voice crackled through my earpiece. Black SUV, diplomatic plates. I smoothed my dress, the fabric cool against my suddenly warm skin. How many? 4 men. Winston's in the middle. They're letting him walk in unrestrained, just like we planned. My throat tightened. Even in custody, he'd managed to convince them he deserved special treatment. Some things never changed. The gallery door chimed. Footsteps echoed through the empty space, confident, unhurried. Winston's trademark stride. Quite a show you've put together, his voice carried from the entrance. Though I'm surprised they let you open the gallery given the circumstances. I didn't turn around. You mean given the fraud charges you tried to pin on me? Attempted fraud. He moved closer. Nothing was proven, which is why I'm here and not in a cell. Now I faced him. He looked exactly the same. Perfect suit, perfect smile, perfect lie wrapped in human form. 2 plainclothes officers flanked him, trying to appear casual among the artwork. You're here because I asked for this meeting, I gestured to the Monet. To return what belongs to Monica, he laughed. That worthless fake? Keep it. Consider it a birthday gift. It's not a fake, Winston. I stepped aside, revealing the authentication documents on the pedestal. These prove it's real. The one you've been chasing. That was the fake. His smile slipped. Impossible. I checked everything. No. Monica emerged from the back office. You checked what we wanted you to check, following the trail we created, all the way to this moment. Winston's eyes darted between us, calculating. Even if that's true, you have no proof I knew anything about. Actually, said a new voice, they do. Zane stepped out from behind a sculpture, laptop in hand. On the screen, dozens of emails filled with account numbers, transfer records, forged documents. Amazing what people keep in their deleted folders. He smiled apologetically at Winston, especially when they think their tech guy is too incompetent to check. Winston's mask cracked. You little. That's enough. One officer stepped forward. Mr. Kelly, based on this new evidence, wait. I held up a hand. There's more. I turned to Winston. Want to tell them your real name? Or should I? The colour drained from his face. Thomas Blackwood, Monica said quietly. Wanted in 3 countries for art fraud and financial crimes. Left quite a trail before becoming Winston Kelly. The officers tensed. Winston's hands curled into fists. You think this changes anything? His voice turned ugly. You think these charges will stick? I still own half your gallery, half your life. No. I smiled. You don't. I nodded to Raylan, who projected documents onto the gallery wall. Winston's eyes widened as he read. Divorce papers, I explained. Filed 6 months ago, when you first started moving money offshore. Signed and notarized while you were busy planning my destruction. Impossible, he whispered. I would have known. Like I knew about Monica? About the other women? My voice shook. I learned from the best, Winston. I learned to hide things in plain sight. He lunged forward suddenly. The officers grabbed him, but not before he knocked over the pedestal. Authentication papers scattered across the floor. You can't do this to me, he shouted. I made you. You were nothing before me. I picked up the papers slowly, deliberately. No, I made myself. You just made me doubt that for a while. The officers started leading him away. He twisted in their grip, face contorted. How? He demanded. How did you know to start planning so early? I touched the space where my rose pendant used to hang. Because of the roses. You always sent roses before destroying someone's life. I just had to learn to recognize the warning. Understanding dawned in his eyes, followed by something that looked almost like respect. The student surpasses the teacher, he murmured. No, I turned away. I was never your student, just your wake-up call. The gallery door chimed again as they led him out. In the silence that followed, Monica touched my shoulder. It's really over, she said softly. I looked at the Monet, at the play of light and shadow across its surface, at all the layers of truth and deception woven into its history. Not quite, I said, pulling out my phone. There are other women out there, other galleries, other lives he tried to destroy. Raylin and Monica exchanged glances. What are you thinking? Raylin asked. I showed them the message I'd just received, a list of names, dates, locations. Women like us, waiting for justice. I'm thinking, I said, it's time to send some roses of our own. The Paris morning light streamed through Le Petit Palais's windows, casting long shadows across room 408. I ran my fingers along the wallpaper, feeling for the slight bulge that had to be there. Found it. I pried loose a small envelope yellowed with age. Inside, a hotel receipt from 15 years ago, Winston's first victim. Sarah Mitchell, Monica read over my shoulder. I remember her gallery in London. It closed suddenly, right after he destroyed her. I added the receipt to our growing collection, just like he planned to do to all of us. My phone buzzed. Raylin. Court's in session. Verdict expected within the hour. I touched the wall one last time, thinking of all the women who'd stood here, believing Winston's promises, the perfect symmetry of ending it where it began. Ready? Monica asked. Almost. I pulled a single black Baccarat rose from my bag, placed it on the bed. Not dying this time, fresh, vibrant, thorns intact. A different kind of warning. The hotel corridor felt longer than I remembered. At the elevator, Monica hesitated. There's something you should know, she said, about Sarah Mitchell. What about her? She's not his first victim. Monica's eyes met mine. I am? The elevator arrived with a soft ding, but neither of us moved. What do you mean? The woman in that wedding announcement. That wasn't really me. She took a deep breath. I was using an alias, running from him, just like he's been running from us. Understanding clicked. You're Sarah Mitchell, she nodded. I changed everything. My name, my looks, my whole life. Spent years tracking him, watching him destroy other women, waiting for someone strong enough to help me stop him. Why didn't you tell me before? Because I needed to know if you'd fight for yourself, not just for revenge. Her smile was sad. I needed to know you were different from me. My phone buzzed again. Zine, you need to see this. New evidence just surfaced. I opened the attached file. Police reports, bank records, a trail leading back 20 years. My hands started shaking. Monica, Sarah, whatever your name is. He wasn't working alone. I know. She stepped into the elevator. He had a partner, someone who helped him choose his targets, set up the cons, create new identities. The pieces clicked together. You? Yes. Her voice was barely a whisper. Until I fell in love with him. until he convinced me I could be more than just his accomplice. The elevator doors started to close. I caught them. Why tell me now? Because the verdict doesn't matter. She met my eyes. He'll find a way out. He always does. Unless what? Unless someone knows where all the bodies are buried. Someone who helped bury them. My phone buzzed one final time. Raylin. Verdict's in. Not guilty. Evidence disappeared. He's being released. I looked at Monica, Sarah, this woman who'd been both victim and villain, who'd orchestrated everything, not for revenge, but for redemption. Take me to them, I said. To who? The evidence. The real records. Everything you kept from your time together. She studied me for a long moment. Even if it means I go down too. We'll figure something out. I stepped into the elevator. But first, we're going to finish what you started. What he turned you into and what you turned yourself into after. The elevator descended smoothly. In my mind, I saw Winston walking free, already planning his next con, his next victim. I kept roses too, you know, Monica said softly. But mine weren't warnings. They were reminders of who I was before him and who I could be after. The elevator reached the lobby. Through the hotel's grand windows, I could see Winston emerging from the courthouse across the street, that familiar victorious smile on his face. Ready to rewrite the ending? I asked. Monica squared her shoulders. Ready to write our own story? We stepped out together into the Paris morning. Behind us in room 408, a single rose waited on the bed. Not a warning this time, but a promise. Some thorns, after all, are meant to protect, not punish. And some stories don't end with justice or revenge, but with something far more powerful. The truth.